Okay, so we're going to talk about this. This is black acrylic on top. I just haven't taken the protective paper off. And I bought a piece of steel. I'll show you how it's going to be fastened when everything's done. I believe y'all are going to like it. But the difference in controllers is these were standard cheap Amazon LED strips and controllers. These were addressable LEDs. Now, if you want to find them on Amazon, they're called Dream LEDs. But addressable LEDs, as you can see, each individual LED on that strip can be turned off, on, and regulated. So the controller can make it do all kinds of different stuff. Originally, I wanted it because I wanted that Knight Rider effect where it just kind of acts like it's breathing. You can do that too, but it all glows. It doesn't chase. So now, at the time, I had to make, this is double road LEDs, this is single road LEDs. They didn't make, at the time, an addressable single row LED strip. Now they do. Now they actually make some that are seamless and diffused where you can't really see the bulbs. So I was thinking, hey, I'm going to update this. I'm going to pull this out, make these addressable, make this addressable, and I'm going to give each individual section on it its own basically command area in the controller. But that's not the only thing I wanted. I wanted an LED controller that had addressable options, meaning for smart LED strips. I call these dumb LED strips, okay? I call the dream ones, or the addressable ones, smart strips. Nobody else does that. That's just my quick reference, so don't try to look that up. But basically, I wanted all of it addressable, and I wanted it to beat to the music, because y'all have seen the aftermarket box in which I bought for my truck, and I wanted this to be able to beat to the music if I'm sitting somewhere, and you can turn it down, you can adjust it. But I found after I built a party bus for somebody using different LED strips and controllers in the early days, you have some that have like a sensor inside, and the harder sound hits it, the more it blinks. Then you have some that they actually play the music in the app and it beats perfectly, and you can turn down the sensitivity and brightness to the lights and everything. Like I said, these were $60 a piece on each side. So that's $120 just for this strip and this strip. Now they're like half that. They're like $30. And these strips here, you can get addressable the same way for under 30 or $40 with a controller on Amazon, which is very reasonable. Originally, if you hear it, I have a power supply running it right now, because when I was working on arcade machines, and a friend of mine taught me how, I actually have power supplies, adjustable power supplies for testing stuff and everything now. But when I first built this, I wanted an area to where all the controllers sat inside of a box. So I actually went and bought a computer fan, put the controllers inside the box, put a filtration system, which, you know what, matter of fact, here, I'll show you. Right? So, very crude and rudimentary. Oops, sorry. Y'all can actually see it. So I built a box inside of this with little slip-in filters, which these are filters that you can buy for, what do you call them? Your air ducts in your house. They're slip-over filters. That's all that is. You buy them in like a 10-pack for $4 to where I can actually just change them out when they get dirty. Because anything that gets covered up needs airflow to cool down. So I put a high flow computer fan on the inside of it to keep airflow across my controllers and across my fuse terminals. So I bought the aftermarket fuse terminals, which I'm a fan of the one they sell at Summit, to where it just shows a light if it's a blown fuse, and I also have the fuses that glow when they're blown. So after building this, there's also another cool feature, right? So I'll give you an example. The charging case I use on my phone here, where's the flashlight? If you notice, on any of these charging cases, you see these two little prongs here that connect, so these charge. They're spring-loaded brass prongs. So I got to looking at it and I said, well, if they make them for earbuds and recharging phones and flashlights and stuff like that, I said, that means I can order a part somewhere. So I searched online and I found on most of these LED strips, RGBs, which means red, green, blue, have 4 connectors: red, green, blue, ground. The more connectors you go through, like these, the addressable ones, have 3 wires. But either way, you can make this whole thing snap-on and magnetic. So if you countersink magnets inside and you just use reverse polarities where they snap together hard, you can actually make this whole side snap on. Now, something else I'm going to show you is, see right here, it's not flush. You want to give a little bit of a recessed area so that when you wrap the upholstery over the edge, it sits flat. Because you're going to upholster all this edge. Since I've got time now to do this project, y'all are going to see a lot of little details as I go along, and I'm going to show you on it, on how you do it. This one here has a it has a steel lock box on the inside, but I ended up making some stuff with PVC, which I don't know why, but I ended up making a steel lock box that goes on the inside that will anchor down to the truck floor. And I also have in my vast assortment back here of Tupperware, I have a LED ring, or not a LED ring, a RFID ring, and an RFID sensor that goes here. So the only way this box opens is with an RFID ring. And I know a lot of y'all got to thinking about it, and y'all are like, what happens if that ever breaks or if it ever dies? Well, here's the thing. So I thought about how to make a mechanism on the inside to where if it ever dies, I can unlock it. But I wanted it where if anybody ever stole the truck or tried to bust it up, because it's going to be mounted to the center console, to the floor, that it couldn't unlock. So if they bust this thing up and they try to yank it out or something, it's not going to undo. It's just going to be a steel trap lockbox. It will only open with electricity. And I ordered 2 solenoids, because whenever I learned how to work on pinball machines, I ordered some solenoids that are spring loaded. And basically, the way I wanted to do it was put 2 solenoids in there. One's enough, but you put 2. And you have it to where one of it stays unlocked, but the second power dies, it shuts off and pushes in. I'm still playing with the lock mechanism. I have it drawn out, and it makes all the sense in the world because I wanted something that I could unlock as long as I had power going to it. So if anybody knows, when you work with anything that has solenoids, they work for a very long time, but you have to have a backup. So I figured out some stuff. But this was basically me making a mock-up version of what was in my head. I can still use this, but I can actually still disassemble this and use all of the patterns, which I still have some inserts that go right here on the inside that are going to be wrapped in stretch velvet. The outside here is going to be leather, and this right here is black acrylic. And I kind of like the fogged edge, because if you go clear, it doesn't reflect the light as well. And if you're going clear on something like this, you just sand it down really fine. You finish it with a router face or something with a straight edge, and then you sand it down smooth, and you come back with MAP gas, which is like a little propane heater. You'll see MAP gas in the yellow tubes. And you just heat the edge until it just melts glossy smooth. I mean, it'll go clear. But the one thing I am going to have to do, since this got backburnered so long, is I may have to update to a newer iPad slider kit, because the iPad I have, it works, and I don't need it for anything but music, but I don't know how much longer they'll have this particular model. So I actually bought it just for my iPad mini that I keep in my shop, and I actually have my Bluetooth speakers in here hooked up to it. So, and it has my entire playlist in here on it. So far I haven't had any issues, but I do notice as soon as I ran out of storage, which is an issue with filming all these videos. So that's something I'm having to learn about and overcome right now as we speak. I ordered a portable flash drive to pull all the photos and videos off my phones and iPads, to where when I travel, I can use both my phones for filming and doing content. I know that made a friend of mine laugh whenever we were at an Apple store recently, and I said, yes, I use this for making content. They died laughing in the background, because some people's minds are in the gutters. But this is content, y'all, so just so y'all know. But yeah, I just basically wanted to let y'all know I'm going to do some updates, some redesigns, and I ordered some mirror anchors, which are going to be flush with the acrylic. So basically it's going to be steel underneath, then it's going to have a mirror anchor, or they look like a big flat brushed finish. But anyways, when all that's done, it should turn out being fairly nice. My iPad's been down for days because I keep hopping around charging, like earbuds, all kinds of stuff. So I'm fixing, this is little stuff that just eats you alive. When you're upgrading the shop and cleaning it at the same time, I have to put multiple charge ports for plugging in, and when I'm working on stuff, and I'm actually going to have one that mounts right here above what I'm working on to give it a different view. But as my brother pointed out, it might be easier for me to stream everything to a computer and have all of it feed to one source, rather than me sending it around through social media apps and all. And I told him, I said, I stay on the move so much. I said, it's kind of hard for me not to do editing on my phone or on my iPads. So either way, I was just basically sharing that tidbit with you. And like I said, when everything comes in, I'll do an unpackaging video, show y'all how it's set up, do the walkthrough, and I'll show y'all how to do it. Have a good one.